All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcoming to the program the man who hardly needs an introduction, Mr. Benny Johnson.
What's going on? How we doing?
You know, you were telling me before we got mic'd up here that we're going to do something involving, I think you said total patriot victory, making America great again. I was just curious, what did you mean by that when you said that to me just now?
Well, I mean that I've been a big fan of Heck Off Commie for a very long time.
True,
okay.
So true.
Yes. And we got an OG YouTuber here, OG
That's
America
right.
First YouTuber. Been a big fan of John Doyle. And the question that I have for you is like, what's going on at the family dinner here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a holiday season. My take on this, and with his like Shapiro and Bannon and Tucker, and everyone's throwing mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And everyone's drank a box of wine, very cheap Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And my take on this is very simple, and I hope that you'll agree. One, the fights are entertaining. All right, it's entertaining, just like a dinner time fight during Thanksgiving. But in the end, what I demand is that we're all under the same roof. We're all under the same house. We're all family, and we all have the same enemies, and we all have the same mission. And so I can't have that be broken up. And so we're going to speak here really soon, but I'm going to hammer that message home. I am sick of people trying from the inside to destroy the MAGA movement, destroy the America First movement. Heck off commie, in the words of another guy.
That's right.
And I'm just like freaking sick of it. So like, have your pity little bitch wars. I don't care. But like, don't lose sight of the mission. And here's the mission. As somebody who worked with Charlie Kirk for a decade, let me tell you what. Charlie, if he had set business to settle, he settled it quietly and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk was also somebody who saw unity far more powerful than division.
Yep.
A good example of this is our great living meme, J.D. Vance, as vice president, okay? J.D. Vance is vice president because of Charlie Kirk. I can now say that, but if those of you who know, you saw what was going on behind the scenes. J.D. Vance had some naughty things that he said in a past life about Donald Trump, and wasn't a biggest Trump fan. Charlie Kirk was able to fuse them together because he saw J.D. Vance as the signal to millennials, the first millennial vice president, a young man that could really lock in with the base boys, which I see him right here. Young man, nice mustache. But then Charlie Kirk didn't stop there. He brought Elon Musk and Trump together. That's a crazy partnership. That was very entertaining. And then he brought RFK Jr. and Trump together.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk, he doesn't get any credit for this. Charlie Kirk created MAGA. Charlie Kirk created the MAGA movement by bringing together a guy that has also said very bad things about Trump, fusing them together, and being a guy who unifies for the sake of defeating our common enemy, which is the godless, dickless, ballless Marxists that must be defeated, okay? Screw these people. They're already taking themselves out of the gene pool. They're already cutting their dicks off and pissing in litter boxes, so I don't need those people, but I don't want them in charge of my kids. I don't want them in charge of my country. Charlie Kirk saw the real, true evil. And the real evil is this: not debating people, not having arguments over the dinner table, but people that stop arguing and start using bullets and assassination to kill their enemies. And so that's what we must stand united against.
It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And that coalition of people who are, as he articulately put, are so literally insane and like chopping each other's genitals off, that coalition of people is poised to succeed over us simply because people cannot put aside their little influencer drama proclivities. Is not only like reckless behavior, it is fundamentally immoral given the stakes of what is going on right now, where if we lose, we are going to go to jail. We are going to have executions continue to be something that we have to deal with in American politics because people are not willing to simply realize that we're all more or less on the same team, and they would rather do this like infighting for engagement or whatever, which is just completely counterproductive.
Yep, you're totally right. If I may, just an anecdotal story. Were you at the DNC convention?
I was not.
Okay, you're very smart. The DNC convention, there was a van. It sounds like a joke, but it is a sick joke, but it's real. There was a van that did rolling vasectomies at the DNC.
Yep.
And DNC beta cucks were signing up for it by the dozen. The men at the DNC were signing up to go into a van in Chicago, drive down the roads, the potholed roads in Chicago, while somebody takes a scalpel to their balls.
Yeah.
And they loved it. And they took themselves out of the gene pool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we are literally, we have the greatest gift from God.
Yeah.
It is such a defeatable enemy.
Yeah.
We have such a defeatable, mentally ill, sick, grotesque, ugly enemy, and we can win as long as we don't destroy ourselves.
That's right.
So that's what we must not do here at AmericaFest.
Yeah, I remember I made the prediction after Trump won in 2024, which was completely wrong, and I've been sort of humiliating myself by recycling it throughout the weekend, which was I thought that once people saw that victory was possible, they would lose interest in this kind of like drama conspiracy content because now their appetite would be totally fixated on victory, real life gains. It was actually the exact opposite, where once people felt like they had the security of victory through the election of Donald Trump, they actually gave themselves permission to indulge in all of that kind of content. So what would you say to those people who are perhaps well-meaning, but they can't look away from this car crash that is going on within our movement? How do we get those people to focus once again on the boredom of victory rather than maybe some of the more tantalizing stuff you see online?
We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity that I believe right now, sadly, is being squandered, but an opportunity to cement what America First means, and America First is the dominant political ideology that leads the country for 100 years. We must not miss our moment. And that's why, here's a good example, and it's been very frustrating. Why was Charlie killed? Charlie was killed while answering a question about transgender violence by a transgender. And 75% of the country doesn't know that, doesn't know that the shooter was left-wing and devolving into the sickest and most perverse and darkest left-wing ideologies.
Yeah.
And they don't know that because we haven't taken that and ran with it.
Yeah.
If this had happened to a left-wing, a big, prominent left-wing voice, Democrats would be kicking in doors, would be gulagging and locking up their political enemies in masse.
Yes.
And so I am asking and begging Kash Patel, the FBI, the Trump DOJ, start kicking in doors.
Absolutely.
Antifa, Trantifa, these sick ideologies, they'll kill again because they get permission slips from guys like Jimmy Kimmel who won't even cover the fact that they did this in order to facilitate their sick demonic ideology. So we have to have a more hardcore response to this. And I'm glad to hear everybody applauding for that because it has to happen. More door kickers.
Absolutely. And back to the point, too, about the infighting. Look at what these people have done. I mean, we had a good 2 weeks or so where there was so much ire and indignation all aimed at the left because everybody knew this guy was a leftist. He was, singing the songs. He wrote it on the shell casings. And everybody wanted what you're talking about. They wanted the no-knock raids, exactly what they did to Trump and his allies.
Yes.
But then, all of a sudden, now we have people who are dissipating that momentum and saying, oh, you believe it was the left because it was obviously the left? What are you, some sort of, like, government believer guy?
Right.
Instead, we have to blame it on Egypt.
Such a great point.
Literally anything except what is so obviously the problem. And who benefits from that the most? Do we benefit from that? Are we more aligned with the truth? No. We are now less poised to be able to confront the enemy that is not only responsible for this, but is claiming responsibility for this and celebrating it. It is so obviously where the vector of attack is coming from, and all these people are doing by redirecting that, not making things better for patriots, they are just helping the left. And the left loves that because then they get to say, oh, they don't think it was us, they're not coming after us, they think it was Egypt? Fine, yeah, whatever, do what you're gonna do. But they ultimately are not threatened by that. They were scared for a good 2 weeks when it looked like they were finally gonna have their teeth kicked in a little bit. And then as that's now slowed because we failed to put the pressure on them because we are selfish and would rather watch our conspiracy content or whatever, now you're seeing nothing has been done to the way that it should have been done and that it would have been done had it been a leftist rather than like the greatest American ever, Charlie Kirk.
I'm totally fine with people asking questions. I think if I said, raise your hand if you're satisfied with the Charlie Kirk investigation, no hands would go up. Raise your hand if you want more information about the Charlie Kirk assassination. Yes, we all do. And it is absolutely incumbent. Who's doing the investigation? Is it you? Is it Candace? Of course not. Does Candace have an FBI badge? I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting for a day. But like, no. The people who are doing the investigation owe it to us to explain, to show their work, to show the evidence. The era of, trust me, bro, we're good, move along. That's over. Epstein, of course, atomized that. And so that is why I view this, if you say there's a conspiracy about Charlie's assassination, here is where I totally agree with you. That judge in Utah is scaring the hell out of me.
Yeah.
He's about to potentially rule that he's gonna ban all cameras from the courthouse. And we're not gonna be able to watch this trial. That would be such an unspeakable evil in our country. It would descend, I think, so many people into madness. Charlie Kirk was killed on a live stream. We know exactly who did it.
Yep.
And so we must be able to see that trial. What's up, Jack? Shout out to Jack.
Patriot.
We must be able to see that live and we must be able to see justice live. And one final thing for this beautiful audience here at the Blaze, you know that they still have firing squads in Utah? Who would be down for that? I would be down for that.
Yeah, if you want your content, there's your content.
That's right.
That'll be better. Benny, thank you so much for joining the program. Tell the people where they can find you and what you got planned for this weekend.
Just at Benny Johnson, and as much as I love everybody here, I got to tell you, I got little kids. I've had 4 babies in 4 years. We're getting going. And Elon Musk told me backstage at Charlie Kirk's memorial, he goes, I do a terrible Elon Musk impression. He was holding my youngest son. He's like, have many more babies. And I was like, I literally told him this. I go, Elon, I'm having babies the normal way. I can't have babies like you, okay? You have babies like 70 different people.
Yeah,
they all have little apartments. That's cool, you know? Nothing illegal about it, but I'm doing it the old-fashioned way.
Right.
So we might be capped, but either way, I agree. We'll have millions of babies. We'll save the country. And John Doyle, we're the only ones who reproduce or that anybody wants to reproduce with. So we got a big upswing on the libs, and we're going to outbreed those sons of bitches, and we're going to win.